The Euros is here and it's match day 1. There's some fantastic fixtures in the first set of games, and today we're going to preview each of them in chronological order and offer my prediction for each game. So let's start with the opener. Germany against Scotland is going to be an absolute cracker to start this tournament. I'm actually going to be live streaming a watch along of it, and we're going to do more of those throughout the Euros, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. So of course, Germany are the home nation, massive favourites going into this one. Nagelsmann in charge. Kroos's last dance. It's very hard to go against the Germans in this one. Scotland bring in some okay players that have done well in the Prem, as well as Ferguson smashing it for Bologna in the Serie A. Germany have underperformed in tournaments in recent years, but I think they're going to start strong here today. I'm going Germany 3, Scotland 0. Up next we have Hungary against Switzerland. England fans will remember Hungary when they absolutely dominated us a couple of years ago, and now some of their players getting bigger moves such as Szoboszlai having a decent first season in the Prem for Liverpool, up against the Swiss that have a few players that have been stuck around for a while like Xherdan Shaqiri, but Xhaka moving away from Arsenal and winning the Bundesliga. This could be a really decent game, and I'm going to go for Hungary to win this one 2-1. That game is followed by Spain against Croatia. Spain now trying to come through with a new generation of players after that dominant era that they had in the past, with the likes of Pedri and Yamin Lamal. They actually beat Croatia to win the Nations League last year, who are a side who maybe hit their peak a few years ago. In the last couple of tournaments, they've actually performed very well, getting to a World Cup final a few years ago. The problem is some of the players that helped them get there are coming towards the end of their careers, and the newer players such as Kovacic and Gvardiol are slowly but surely getting to the right level. So I don't think this is going to be an absolute rout for Spain, and I'm going to say that they win their first game of the Euros 2-1. We move on to Italy versus Albania as the next group game. A very, very tough group. Italy, Spain, Croatia and Albania is crazy. And Albania are basically the whipping boys in this group, as it seems. Maybe they could actually cause an upset. Italy have not been looking anywhere near as good as they did probably a couple of eras ago now. I know they won the Euros last time, but they weren't incredible. They didn't dominate games and show that they were comfortably the best team at the tournament. Failing to qualify for World Cups, it's just not been the best squad. They have a lot of younger players coming through, and maybe it's a little bit too early for them. Albania do have a couple of players that most people will know, especially if you play FIFA. You will have seen someone like Hysaj for years, but Broja up front could cause some trouble for the Italian defence, especially nowadays when they don't have Bonucci and Chiellini as those stalwarts at the back. But I do think they'll still have too much for Albania, and so for their first game, I'm going to give Italy the win 2-0 in this fixture. Poland have got the Netherlands in their first game of the tournament, and I feel like for the past few tournaments, everyone has been thinking, what can Lewandowski do? But the problem is he doesn't get the service because the rest of the team hasn't really been good enough. And so whilst he's an elite level striker, one of the best of the current generation, he just can't do that much. He can't carry the team on his own. They have a few younger players that are coming through, for example, Kiwior at Arsenal. And so maybe a new generation of Poles could really, really help them in these kind of tournaments. The Netherlands are one of those nations that just don't seem to click properly. They have some fantastic players, especially in defence. It's elite. But up front, someone like Cody Hakpo or Depay just don't seem to quite have that lethal edge. And losing Frankie de Jong for the tournament is such a killer blow for the Netherlands. If they felt they had a chance of winning this tournament, that has probably dampened their spirits significantly. And it means their midfield is not going to be anywhere near as controlling in these kind of games where they should be able to have more of the ball and be creating a lot of chances for their forward line. I still think they'll have too much for Poland though, and I'm going to say that Poland 0, Netherlands 2 is the score in that game. We move into Group C because Slovenia are meeting Denmark in the first game. The majority of people out there are just predicting England to dominate that group, and then it's very split as to who people think are going to come second or third. So this is a really, really tight game. There's a couple of players in each squad that do stand out. Denmark may be those kind of players that they had over the last few years. It's such as Schmeichel and Eriksen just getting to the end of their careers. But then you have someone like Højlund who is on the up. And the same for Slovenia. Their biggest and most historic player in recent times has been Oblak in goal. He is still there, but he's getting towards the end of his career, but you've got Benjamin Sesko, who up front is doing really, really well and is getting a load of attention from Arsenal and Chelsea and is basically subject to a load of transfer speculation. So you have promising talents up front for both of these nations. And so I think that's going to be the deciding factor. And I'm going to go for 1-1 in this fixture. Maybe Sesko and Højlund both scoring. The big one, Serbia versus England. Let's not waste too much time on this one. Obviously, it's coming home. England should be feeling confident with the group that we have. And you want to get that off to a fantastic start on this first Sunday game. Show that you are here to mean business and potentially go on to win the whole thing. Go for it. Don't sit back. I know it's first game of a tournament. You want to be a little bit cagey and defensive, but no. Go out and show the attacking talent that we have in both midfield and our forwards. Serbia do also have some decent players, especially in that area as well, Mitrovic and Vlahovic specifically. But we should comfortably have enough. The one thing is, we do have some players that are slightly injured coming into the tournament, such as Luke Shaw, and so he's probably not going to be able to play the first game, maybe two. So it might not be our ideal starting 11, however, it should be good enough, and I'm going to go for Serbia, 0, England, 2. It's coming home! Next up is Romania against Ukraine. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything about both of these nations. I know a couple of players and how they could potentially have an impact on their squads in this tournament. But you're in a group with Belgium. Your aim is basically to try and get second here. So will the Stancius, the Hagis of the world be enough for Romania to do that? Or are Mudryk and Dovbyk going to be too good for them? I think they might just have the edge in this game. And so I'm going to go for Romania 0, Ukraine 1. Speaking of, Belgium are up next against Slovakia. And whilst Belgium's golden generation seems to have come and gone and underperformed really, maybe a managerial problem, they do still have some quality players and they should be topping this group. Lukaku could easily end up being the top goal scorer of the whole tournament by dominating the group stage here. You obviously still have some fantastic players in there, such as De Bruyne, Yuri Tielemans, etc. Whereas the days of Marek Hamšík have long gone now. I'm going to go with Belgium to win this one 2-0. Austria are up against France. What a horrible first game of a tournament for the Austrians here. Some decent momentum being built, some good players coming through, but you come up against a team that got to the World Cup final. They've won a World Cup in recent years. They are aiming for the Euros. Mbappe has specifically said this is the one he now wants. And him alone could be enough to win a game against you. But factor in the ridiculous defence, outrageous midfield and attacking options. They basically have a second squad in this tournament that could probably get to the quarterfinals easily. Someone as underappreciated as Griezmann just chilling in the squad like it's nothing. I think France are going to absolutely dominate until they come up against us in the semi-final. But in this first game, I'm going to go Austria 0, France to smash them 4-0. The penultimate game of this first match day is Turkey against Georgia. Georgia have got a couple of players, but their main man is obviously Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. Can you get the ball to him and let him try and run at a Turkey defence and goalkeeper and basically do it on his own? I'm not sure they can. Turkey, on the other hand, have a couple of really, really good up-and-coming players. The most known one is Arda Güler, obviously at Real Madrid. Had an okay first season, but this could be the tournament where he fully launches himself to being a first-team player for Madrid next season. You also throw in some of the older players like Çalhanoğlu that are still there, and I think they're going to have too much. So I will go with Turkey 2, Georgia 0. And the final game of Matchday 1 is Portugal against the Czech Republic. Ronaldo ridiculously appearing in his 6th European Championships amongst a very, very good Portuguese squad. They have some younger players that are very highly rated that are going to go for big money whenever they do move out of the Portuguese league. With a smattering of Premier League stars and others from around Europe, their squad is fantastic. And compared to the Czechia one, they have a couple of decent players, but I just don't see how they're going to handle the Portuguese in this tournament. I feel like they're going to be a big handful for anyone they come up against. And so, for the final game of Matchday 1, I'm going Portugal 3, Czechia 0. So let me know your thoughts on this mini preview for Matchday 1. I plan to do these for each of the 3 match days for the groups, with my predictions and a couple of thoughts. So, do you agree with them? Do you disagree? make sure you leave it in the comments. If you did enjoy it, you can hit the thumbs up and subscribe for live streams of the watch-alongs as well as daily Euros content throughout this tournament. I really, really hope you enjoy it all, and I'll see you for Germany-Scotland in a bit.